Good morning, councillors. Good morning to the executive team, and good morning to those joining us in the digital gallery. We are also privileged today to have students from All Saints School from Years 5 and 6 join us in the gallery, and we welcome you to today's proceedings. It's my privilege to declare the ordinary meeting of the 22nd of August 2023 open, and in doing so to pause and acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet and across which our magnificent Scenic Rim region is formed. I pay respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and congratulate them on their continued nurture of their rich culture. Councillors, I note this morning we do have one absence from the council chamber this morning, and that's Councillor Duncan McInnes has requested and has been granted in exceptional circumstances leave of absence for today's meeting, and we will proceed accordingly. And therefore I move forward through apologies, I move forward to prayers, and we are today privileged to be joined by Pastor Nicholas Crampton, who's the pastor from Boonah Baptist Church, to lead us in prayers. Nicholas, I hand over to you. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you very much for the invitation this morning. As you heard, my name's Nicholas Crampton and I'm the pastor of Boonah Baptist Church, and it's my privilege to open our meeting this morning in prayer. Let's join together and pray. This morning, Lord, as the Scenic Council meets, we recognise that you are sovereign over all things, that you hold all things in your hands. We take a moment to recognise this, that we would be able to rest in that reality today. We recognise that you give us leaders and appoint leaders to look after and to seek the best for the needs and flourishing of our region. We thank you, Lord, for everything you have blessed us with, both as a region and as individuals. Everything we have is from you, and we thank you for it. We thank you that we can live in this beautiful land. We thank you that you have given those here this morning responsibility to seek the best for this region and its people. We ask you today that you would give them wisdom, insight, and knowledge as they meet. We ask that you would help them to take your example, Jesus, in putting others before ourselves. Let us today govern with integrity and humility. We lastly pray for our community. We pray that this community would be a people who are thriving and not struggling. We pray that we would be a community known for our generosity, our love, and our care for one another. I pray, Lord, for every member here this morning, and I pray that you would bless them and that you would bless their families. We pray these things in your precious and holy name. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Thank you, Pastor, for joining us this morning, and thank you for your leadership role in our community, which is a very important part of the fabric that makes us a great place. I understand you probably have a busy day. You're welcome to stay with us, but we also understand if you need to depart to other duties. Thank you. Councillors, there are no notified public questions for public question time today. We therefore move to item 6, and I turn to the CEO. I believe we have two declarations for conflict of interest matters today. That's correct? Yep. Thank you. And we will deal with those matters, declaration by Councillor McConnell and a declaration by myself, which will be dealt with at items 11.6 and 11.7 in the late items. So we move forward now to the confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting, which have been circulated to councillors, and we therefore seek a mover for a motion that the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 8th of August 2023 be adopted. Councillor Chalk, seconder Councillor Hay. Any questions to those minutes? Wish to discuss to your motion, Councillor?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Anyone seeking leave to speak additionally? If not, we put the motion. Those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. We now move forward to business arising. CEO, were there any business arising items?
Through Ms. Mayor, no.
Thank you. No business arising items, councillors? Thank you. Then we move forward now to the business of today's meeting, and we come first to item 11.1 of today's agenda, which concerns the approved dates for the end of year close down for 2023-2024. Councillors, this is a normal process that we consider each year, which provides clarity for the community and for planning around suitable times for the closure of facilities particularly around the Christmas break. Councillors, I therefore would move the following: that firstly, Council note the end of year close down for 2023-24 of a number of council facilities as follows. Council offices, including customer care and engagement, will close from 3 p.m. on Friday 22nd of December 2023 up to and including Monday 1st of January 2024, reopening on Tuesday 2nd of January 2024. Council's libraries and community and cultural centres will close from 3 p.m. on Friday 22nd of December 2023 up to and including Sunday 7th of January 2024, reopening on Monday 8th of January 2024, with employees returning to work on Tuesday 2nd of January 2024. And 2, Council note close down for field-based operational employees from Monday 25th of December 2023 up to and including Friday 5th of January 2024, with a return to work scheduled for Monday 8th of January 2024. I so move. I seek a seconder. Councillor Chalk, thank you. Any questions to this, councillors? Any points for clarification? Any discussion? If not, councillors, I'll just speak briefly to the motion. Obviously, this is a recurring decision that we make each year about how to close down, how to deal with satisfying the requirements of our employment agreements for our staff to have a close down period, but also to ensure that people are able to refresh and be able to return fully charged for their duties into the following year. I also note that whilst this is a close down, we do maintain emergency services capabilities over this time to ensure that should untoward events occur around weather or otherwise, we have a capacity to respond to those urgent matters. I commend the motion. Anyone wishing to speak against? Anyone seeking leave to speak additionally? If not, we put the motion. Those in favour? Thank you, councillors. That is carried unanimously. We move to item 11.2 on page 8 of our agenda today, and I turn to Councillor West to introduce this item.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to introduce the report, item 11.2, this morning, which is commencement of a major amendment to the Scenic Room Planning Scheme 2020, amendment number 8. I take the report as being read, and I would like to move the motion, please, that Council resolve to prepare a major amendment to the Scenic Room Planning Scheme 2020 to be known as Amendment Number 8, in accordance with the Planning Act of 2016 and Part 4 of the Minister's Guidelines and Rules.
Thank you, Councillor. I seek a seconder. Councillor Enright, thank you. Any discussion to this item, councillors? Any questions, firstly? Additional discussion? Councillor McConnell?
Would, through the chair to the acting GM, if I could he give a quick overview of the reasoning behind the next amendment or the next change to the planning scheme?
Thank you. CEO, you're comfortable for that to pass through? Thank you.
Thank you, and through the chair. The planning scheme amendment proposed for number 8 seeks to continue the currency of the planning scheme, keep it up to date and modern. So some of the things that we're identifying in this amendment is to review the master planning scheme, the master planning provisions for new subdivisions and the like, looking at residential care facilities both in Tamborine Mountain and Beaudesert, making provision for those. Investigating land around Coralbin, which is constrained heavily by slope and vegetation as to what its future use for urban purposes should be. But we'll also identify other issues, or probably of a more minor nature, that will tidy up the planning scheme. So it's all a part of ensuring the planning scheme remains relevant and up to date. So this report and the motion by council is to commence the process, so it's fairly procedural at this stage, and as this process continues, officers will come back to council with more detailed information about the proposed changes and prior to the changes being adopted probably in 12 months, 18 months' time.
Thank you. Further questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you. No further questions, councillors? If not, Councillor West, return to you to speak to your motion.
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. Much of which I was going to mention has in fact been spoken about by the Acting General Manager, but just to reiterate that this motion is about part of Council's commitment is to keeping the planning scheme as a very living document, and as planners work through that document, often they find there are issues that need to be updated, and hence this is why this amendment has been done today. It's been mentioned what the main points about the amendment are, and that it's also just the commencement of the process. That's for me.
Thank you, councillor. Anyone wishing to speak against the motion? Anyone seeking leave to speak additionally? Councillors, I will take the opportunity to speak additionally. When we, a little bit of context, when we formed the first integrated scenic rim planning scheme in the last term of council, it was a significant body of work, but part of our commitment, as has been mentioned today, was to ensure that we don't fall into the trap of letting it sit on a shelf, that we maintain currency and continue to deal with the emerging issues of a vibrant community, which is what these amendments do for us. I also would call out that part of the process for these amendment packs, and for this one will continue that, there will be a period of public consultation around the matters as this progresses. So I urge the community to stay alert to that we will use our normal consultation processes that we have available, such as Let's Talk Scenic Rim, as a portal to help people buy into that conversation, to gain information, and to contribute to ensuring that these amendments help us deliver a strong foundation for the growth of our region, and I too commend the motion. Anyone else seeking leave to speak? Councillor, you wish to close?
Mayor, I would thank you. Just in closing, I just want to mention that the draft amendment package, when it's prepared, it will be presented back to council at a council meeting for consideration and endorsement. Then it will proceed on to a state interest check with the state government. Once this has occurred, the Minister then gives approval to proceed, and the major amendment will then, as the Mayor has mentioned, go out to community consultation. The preparation time for adoption, as of today, adoption of this motion to state interest review, it's normally about 6 to 9 months, so it's a fairly lengthy process, and I commend the motion. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, councillor. I put the motion. Those in favour? Thank you, councillors. That is carried unanimously. Councillors, we turn our attention to item 11.3, which can be found commencing on page 12 of our agenda today, and I turn to Councillor McConnell to introduce this item.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce the report, item 11.3, the 2023 Tourism Week Destination IQ, Destination Q, and the Queensland Tourism Awards. I take the report as read and would like to move the following motion. That, 1, Council endorse Deputy Mayor Jeff McConnell as the nominated council representative to attend the Destination IQ Forum being held on 22 November 2023 in Cairns. 2, Council endorse Mayor Greg Christensen and Deputy Mayor Jeff McConnell as the nominated council representatives to attend the Destination Q Forum being held on 23 November 2023 in Cairns. 3, Council endorse Mayor Greg Christensen and Deputy Mayor Jeff McConnell as the nominated council representatives to attend the 2023 Queensland Tourism Awards Gala ceremony being held on 24 November 2023 in Cairns. And 4, Council endorsed the purchase of tickets to the Queensland Tourism Awards, return flights and accommodation for the designated representatives, noting that the event is being held in Cairns.
Thank you, Councillor. I seek a seconder. Councillor Chalk. Thank you for that. Questions to the report, firstly, councillors? Any additional discussion to the report? Councillor Enright.
Thank you, Mayor. Question through you to the CEO. Council will be entering into the Tourism Awards. What category will that be?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'll hand over to the Acting General Manager.
Thank you, CEO. So, Council has entered into the awards here, into the category Excellence in Food Tourism, and so that will be in relation not only to the Eat Local month, but the Eat Local program that we run all year throughout the region. It's worth noting that last year we won silver in this category, and this year we're going for gold.
Thank you for the question, Councillor. Any further questions? I would just ask a question to provide additional clarity. The destination, sorry, I'll just go back to the top of my report. The Destination IQ Forum is a separate one-day event which coincides with this, and I think it is important that we do note that Councillor McConnell is available and is intending to visit that, but is it possible, CEO, for us to just get some clarity about the nature of what that event specifically deals with, and perhaps if the acting GM is unable to, I think between us, Councillor McConnell and I can provide that advice.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'll go to the Acting General Manager, who does not look entirely confident. I express I'm not confident about my response either, so I might hand back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, thank you for the question. That's normally outside my portfolio. Yes, so this relates to specifically the Indigenous tourism, and I'd hand to Councillor McConnell to further explain.
Thank you, Acting GM. This is the 11th iteration of the Destination IQ. It brings together a lot of the innovative ideas that are coming out of Indigenous tourism that are forming up throughout the state, as well as what's happening interstate as well. A lot of the ideas are coming from the grassroots Indigenous groups and look back into history of the local area, as well as the culture within each of the First Nations across the state. So there's a lot of innovative ideas, and this is a growing tourism industry, especially in the southeast. There's a lot more of it up north, and I think bringing a few of these ideas back into the Scenic Rim, given our our proud Indigenous groups that are within the Scenic Rim, I think will be beneficial to the tourism industry.
Thank you, Councillor. If I could add, for me, why this is also an important time since the last Indigenous Tourism Forum last year, which was, we've been through the year of Indigenous tourism, but what's really exciting in the Queensland landscape is that between last year's forum and now, there's been a very clear recognition of the importance of recognising the Indigenous cultures in the lead up to the 2032 Olympics, and to ensuring that the celebration and understanding of that First Nations network across Australia, but particularly across Queensland, is properly recognised and celebrated, both from a tourism point of view as well as an understanding point of view, is certainly a significant shift in the landscape. And this is a very significant forum in that regard to get involved. Any further discussion, councillors? If not, councillor, you wish to speak to your motion?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tourism within the Scenic Rim is a growing industry. We have over 500 tourism businesses within the Scenic Rim. As we've spoken about, Destination IQ will bring back some of those innovative ideas for Indigenous tourism and the latest trends. The Destination Q Forum, which I attended last year and was an eye-opener for myself, looks at the future industry, the future of the industry, and the current issues and events facing the industry, especially after what we had with COVID, which decimated the tourism industry for 2 years and is slowly growing back. And then the Tourism Awards, as mentioned by the GM, we are entered into the Excellence in Food Tourism, and given the success of Eat Local Week, the food trails and all the other events we've got going, we should be highly up there in regards to any of the awards. And I thoroughly endorse the recommendation, the motion, sorry.
Thank you, councillor. Anyone wishing to speak against? Seeking leave to speak additionally? Councillor Chalk.
Yeah, I'll just quickly add that it's probably a testament to our region, some agricultural sector as well. We've got a lot of agriculture, tourism businesses, but the foundation of our region is the agriculture, and that's the main reason we can attract these people, is our genuine product that we have to offer. So I'll just make that note. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. Anyone else seeking leave to speak additionally? Thank you, councillors. You wish to close, councillor McConnell?
Just to thank Councillor Chalk for his comments, because I did oversee that, but he is correct. The agriculture industry is a lead in our agri-tourism, and a lot of these tourism operators operate off the farm. So thank you for bringing that forward.
Thank you, councillor. Councillors, I put the motion. Those in favour? That again is carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. We move to item 11.4, which commences on page 17 of today's agenda. And I turn to Councillor Enright to introduce this item.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to introduce the report, item 11.4, Council Monthly Financial Report for July 2023. I take the report as read and now move the motion that Council receive the unaudited financial statement for the period ending 31 July 2023 for the financial year 2023 to 2024.
Thank you, councillor. I seek a seconder. Councillor McConnell, thank you. Councillors, open firstly for questions to the report. Councillor McConnell.
Thank you, Chair. To the portfolio, to Councillor Enright, but it may be the Mayor, I think, as he answers. What does the 8.28 million in other current liabilities comprise of? I'm trying to find the page. Statement 3, statement of financial position. Sorry, I've got to swap between emails and... Page 24.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you for the question, and noting, CEO, the absence of the GM Council Sustainability. Current liabilities relate to those funds that, for various reasons, Council has received to hold in trust. Some of those, for example, are for rural fire and emergency management levies that we have received, but have not yet had the trigger event for them to be forwarded to those entities. And also we have occasions where we have received our grant funds in advance of the works actually being done. So we need to show the management of those clearly, and to give that a bit of clarity in the amounts today. There are amounts sitting there for fire levies that have not yet been paid across, and there are trigger events for that to happen. That's in the amount of about 120,000. The Queensland Government emergency levy has not yet been paid across. That's accumulated at just over 1.75 million. There are grant funds that we've received in advance of works, which is about 4.6 million, and domestic waste levy refunds, which have been received from the state government against forward years of in the amount of 1.7 million, and a small amount that's sitting there, which passes through the books as part of a process internal to council called Casual for a Cause, which accumulates those funds to the employees participate in that process to raise funds for local charities. That's a very small amount of what's there. So that's that will always be a variable amount as those programs take place. Obviously, that happens in sequence, that accumulation, for instance, happens in sequence with things like the allocation or the distribution of the rates notices for a period of time. And it's probably timely in that regard just to use this opportunity to point out that the rates discount period for the first issue of rates for the 23-24 year closes on Thursday the 24th of August. For anyone listening in who's thinking about taking up the opportunity for the discount period, the window of opportunity is closing fairly fast on that, in that regard. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My second query, again on page 24, why is the movement in non-current borrowings from June 2023, 43.263 million, to July 2023, 47.446 million?
Thank you, Councillor. There's probably two parts to answer in this. One of them is an accounting treatment. So at the end of the year, so the June 2023 report, the structure of borrowings was split between current, to be repaid in the next 12 months, and non-current, which is paid beyond that 12 months. And from that June report, that carried a balance of 4.182 million as current and 43.263 million as non-current. When you add those together, you get that now the figure you now see carried forward, which is that 47.446 million, as I believe. So the next piece that you've also alluded to in that question is that there is that 47 million number in the borrowings is substantially different to what was in the original budget for forecast for this year at 39.3 million. And I'm not able to provide you an answer of that discrepancy today, but we'll ask the CEO to take that on note to provide as a response in business arising, unless he has that with him today.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, as indicated in the report, we're going through the process of identifying the carry forwards So the July report really is very indicative until we've worked out the carry forwards. We've had a meeting on the carry forwards as late as yesterday. So once that's done, and as indicated in the executive summary on page 21, a further report will be brought back to council because not all carry forwards will be carried forward.
Thank you. Thank you, CEO. Just in that process, if we can ensure there's clarity around that borrowings number, that would be appreciated. Thank you. You comfortable with that, Councillor?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions to the report, councillors? Councillor Hay.
Thank you, Chair. I just have a question relating to page 26. 4, notes to financial statements continued. Just for the benefit of those listening, could we just have a brief summary of what the legal expenses that council is likely to incur encompass, given that we've set aside $1,082,000 in the budget and we have a variance year to date of $84,000. What type of legal expenses does council normally incur? Thank you.
I'll turn first to the CEO, otherwise I will venture an answer.
Through Mr. Mayor, there's a number of legal expenses. There are expenses to deal with leases. There are legal expenses to deal with planning and town planning issues. There are legal expenses to deal with governance issues. We have a number of interpretations of the Local Government Act that we actually call on for advice in that area as well. We also have legal expenses in relation to human resources. So all of those are very difficult to predict and not knowing when or if you are going to require those funds. So they're put in there as estimates and they will change each quarter.
Thank you, CEO.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further questions, councillors? If not, I'll return to you, Councillor Enright. You wish to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Mayor. I will. This report is part of our legislative requirements of bringing forward a monthly report. Noting that we're the first month through a 12-month cycle, or 8.33% recurring of that process, and as the CEO mentioned, with the carry forwards not yet finalised, there are several items there that perhaps don't show the entire picture, but it's pleasing to see how it's progressed so far in the first month, and we look forward to a clearer picture of how actuals are balancing against the budget into the future financial reports.
Thank you. Anyone wishing to speak against the report, the motion? Anyone seeking leave to speak additionally? If not, we put the motion. Those in favour? That is carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. We move now forward to the late items that have been brought forward for today's meeting, and I go to item 11.5, which is the, just take a moment to open, to the operational plan, and I invite Councillor Chalk to introduce this item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I'll introduce the report, 11.5, Operational Plan 2022 to 2023, Quarter 4 Progress Report. I'll take the report as read by councillors, and I'll just give probably a quick summary of what our operational plan is, mainly for our audience today and any listening public. Our operational plan is a document that our council staff put together, which sort of details the activities they intend to undertake throughout the year. This report is brought to us periodically to be updated to see how they're progressing along with these activities. In this report, there is 128 activities in this operational plan, and as of 30th of June 2023, 102 have been completed in line with approved targets. and 18 have been identified as requiring attention. This means that as at the end of quarter 4, 80% of activities were completed. For the activities which were not completed at the end of quarter 4, the report provides comments about progress. The report also includes information about activities from the Operational Plan 2021-22, which has not been completed as of the end of quarter 3. I'll now introduce the recommendation. Number 1, Council adopt amendments to the Operational Plan 2022-2023 as contained and highlighted within the draft Operational Plan 2022-2023 Quarter 4 Progress Report. 2, Council endorse the Operational Plan 2022-2023 Quarter 4 Progress Report. Number 3, Council notes the Service Delivery Quarter 4 2022-2023 Report. And 4, Council approve the publication of the Service Delivery Quarter 4 2022-2023 Report and the Operational Plan 2022-2023 Quarter 4 Progress Report on the Council website. Thank you.
You're moving that, Councillor?
Yes, I'm moving that.
Thank you, Councillor. I seek a seconder, Councillor McConnell. Now, questions to the report before us, councillors? Councillor Enright.
Thank you, Mayor. A question through you to the CEO. Firstly, I must acknowledge that the 102 activities out of the 128 or 80% completed in the last financial year, given the challenges, is a commendable achievement. My question is, of the 18 that require attention, it appears that staff resourcing, sequencing of other projects and strategies, and other competing priorities are the main reasons for these activities needing attention. Is this the way that you see it, CEO?
CEO.
Through Mr. Mayor, there is a shortage of staff that we're experiencing at the moment, and we're not the only local government experiencing that shortage of staff. That means that there are some projects that are not fully resourced, so that makes it difficult to achieve outcomes. But I think the organisation's done very well in spite of that. I'm looking over, Acting General Manager, were you providing comment on this? No. So in relation to that, simply having enough resources to complete some of those activities, revising those activities and making sure that they're still relevant in the context which they were first set up, is somewhat of a hindrance for us getting a higher percentage than 80, but 80 is a great percentage that we have at this point in time.
Thank you. Thank you, CEO. Further questions, councillors? Councillor West.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you to the General Manager, I just noticed that there's a number of asset management targets that we haven't met as yet and still requiring attention. Just any comments that you might be able to make for us there? Just update. Thank you.
Through the Chair, we certainly, as mentioned by the CEO just then, one of the roles that we have had as a vacancy has been our Coordinator of Asset Management. Fortunately, we've recently been able to secure a person in that role. Although we've not been able to achieve some of the targets that have been listed here, certainly the legislative requirements of asset management have been met through other means by bringing in qualified experts to provide some assistance. With that, there's an additional cost, so we've tried to balance with the use of external parties, knowing that we would certainly try to fill the position. And thank you for the question.
Thank you, GM. Further questions, councillors? Councillor Enright.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you, through the CEO. My first question refers to page 32. And refers to the Visit Scenic Rim website. I'm trying to reconcile the comments to the table for the Q4 results. Could you please explain the traffic to the Visit Scenic Rim website, the cooperative marketing for local tourism business, reaching over 500,000 customers and generating over 18,500 customer leads.
Through your CEO.
Through Mr. Mayor, I'll go to the Acting General Manager.
Thank you, CEO. Yes, Councillor, happy to clarify that. So those comments relate to two different marketing campaigns. The first one was the Always On campaign, which was designed to specifically drive traffic to the Visit Scenic Rim website, and that generated 24,000 visits. The second one was a more wide-reaching program, and it included promotional activities using a lot of the local operators and the like. So what that achieved was over 500,000 views of the information, and that drove about 18,000, nearly 19,000 people to the Visit Scenic Rim website. So two separate campaigns using different methods to achieve traffic to promote Visit Scenic Rim.
Thank you, Acting GM. Further questions, councillors? Councillor Enright?
Thank you, Mayor. My next question refers to page 81. Under the healthy, engaged and resourceful communities, the number of community outreach and library programs have well exceeded the targets. What have been some of the outcomes from these programs?
Through your CEO.
To the Acting General Manager.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. So this program was designed to provide digital dexterity through the Digital Days campaign. So what it was designed to do is bring people up to speed with using digital appliances, whether on the mobile or on tablets and the like, using various apps. So this was very successful and very well received. So what it meant was that people can access free leisure products such as books, movies, newspapers and magazines and music through that, through using those apps. It also had a strong focus on cybersecurity for using those devices, which is very important these days.
Okay, thank you. Further questions, councillors? Looks like you again, Councillor Enright.
Thank you, Mayor. Subsequent question or additional question to page 84. And this question relates to the Reconciliation Action Plan. Can you please provide an update on the progress of this project so far?
Through the Acting General Manager, please.
Thank you again, CEO. So the inception meeting for the Reconciliation Action Plan was held on the 6th of July this year. The next meeting has been postponed due to officers being absent at the moment, so that it will be rescheduled probably in the next month or so once the officers are available to attend that meeting to continue the progress of the Reconciliation Action Plan.
Thank you. Further questions? Councillor Enright?
Thank you, Mayor. My next question refers to page 201. And this one refers to the library visits, which saw an increase to over 40,000 visits to the library in Q4. It's a very strong growth over the previous quarters. Is this a growing trend or are there other reasons for this growth?
To the Acting General Manager, please.
Thank you, and through the Chair. So essentially what we have is a situation where we're still recovering from the COVID situation, in that people are now returning to using the library and increasing memberships and the like. So we have been noticing a steady increase in the people using our facilities. But it's also been tempered a bit by the fact that people have gotten used to using the online facilities. So that in itself means that we're having less people actually coming into the facilities. So there is a bit of a balance there, but we are seeing a return to people physically coming into our libraries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further questions, councillors? Councillor Enright, you have another?
As a matter of fact, Mayor, I do.
Thank you.
Two more. Page 203. And a question through the CEO. There are some remarkable numbers in community participation for the Q4 results over the previous quarters. Be healthy and active, cuppa in the community, recovery and resilience is just an example of some of these. What has changed to increase this increased participation?
I'll hand over to the Acting General Manager, please.
So with the statistics there for the 4 quarters, Q3 is probably a bit of an anomaly, and that essentially occurred simply because in preparing the figures for the reports, we didn't have time to get all the data in. So Q3, the figure there should actually be 996. So that's showing that the program is strongly supported and consistently throughout the quarters.
Just for clarity, that particularly related to the healthy and active participant numbers, that comment, I believe. I think the question was also to some of those other engagements such as cuppa in community and recovery and resilience engagement. Are there any additional insights there?
So the cuppa in the community project has been working very well. The cuppas has been aligned with the mobile library so that more sites can be incorporated and include the library outreach program. The cuppa format has also been extended to some of the larger townships such as Boona, Bethesda and Tamborine Mountain. And they incorporate the previous Savvy Expo format, which had been proven to be a great success. So what the cuppa has provided to the community is the opportunity for them to have more meaningful conversations with council and in the community.
Thank you. Further questions? I believe you have one more, you said, Councillor.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you, through the CEO, my next question refers to 204, page 204, next page, and with reference to the agricultural workshops that were recently delivered, of which the report notes 170 participants in the 6 agricultural workshops. So my question through to the CEO is, what has been the feedback from these agricultural workshops?
Through, Mr Mayor, to the Acting General Manager.
Thank you, CEO. So the feedback, when you look at the actual responses to the surveys that are conducted at the end of each workshop, were very good. Most workshops generated a response rating of 4.5, around 4.5 out of 5. With one just being under 4. It's important to note that there were initially only 4 workshops presented, but there was strong support from the visitors or the participants, and a further 2 workshops were actually brought on. So in total, we had 197 people participating, and an average of 33 people per workshop. So it was very, very well attended, very well supported. And the feedback given in some of those responses was, that they want to see more of the workshops, and they want to see different subjects and potentially more detail in some areas. They get a general understanding, then they want to learn more and get more detail. So there's very strong support for future workshops.
Councillor, if I could be bold enough, a number of councillors participated in some of those workshops, and I attended a number. And my observation beyond just enjoying the formal content, there were clear opportunities for shared learnings between locals and the building of collaborations and shared problem solving based on the information presented, which was perhaps one of those important side effects you get from giving people that opportunity to get out of their day-to-day and reflect on their business a different way. Perhaps whilst we're talking about that, it is worth just highlighting the Scenic Room Agriculture Expo that's occurring the weekend after next at Harrisville as a continuation of that active participation by our local community in advancing the cause of agriculture, as Councillor Chalk alluded to earlier. It's a cornerstone of the region, so that active participation is really important. Thank you. Councillor, further questions? Okay. Any further questions, councillors? Councillors, we might just then we move through. If we've finished with the questioning, you wish to speak to your further to your motion, councillor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I only just say that I think it's a good result. It's been mentioned that out of 128 activities, we did achieve 102 to plan. And I think the 18 that haven't been, we've got some really detailed reasons why, and it's understandable. So I thank the council staff and the CEO and the officers for that explanation, and I endorse this recommendation.
Anyone wishing to speak against? Seeking leave to speak additionally? Councillor Enright.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you, I think this document is something that we should be promoting more into the community. It outlines the projects and programs that we commence at the start of the financial year and then jots the progress as it progresses through the year. It really, to me, is a singing endorsement of the fantastic work that so many of our staff members, or all of our staff members, contribute to delivering our services. And it's important that our community understands all of these things that just happen, don't happen by mistake. It's all done through a delivered project or program of works, and takes a lot of effort to coordinate. So this operational plan is an important document to chart and report back on the progress of all of these programs. So can I congratulate the staff on the work and their contribution to ensuring all of these projects and programs are delivered to the best of their ability over the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone else seeking leave to speak additionally? If not, Councillor Chalk, you wish to close?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Put the motion. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Councillors, our students need to depart, so we will just take a short adjournment to allow them to do that in an orderly fashion. So if we just adjourn the coverage for a moment, we'll only be a few moments and we'll be back live. Welcome back, councillors and executive, and those still with us in the gallery and the digital gallery. Thank you for your participation and assistance with that small adjournment. We now come to item 11.6 of today's agenda, and I turn to Councillor McConnell with regard to declaration regarding this matter.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I, Councillor Jeff McConnell, inform the meeting that I have a declarable conflict of interest in item 11.6, notice of motion by Councillor Christensen in regards to item 10.14 of the ordinary meeting held on 23 May 2023, request for legal assistance, as I am the subject councillor of the imposed order. I'll be leaving the chamber for this item.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillors, I take this report as read. Obviously, this arises from some a follow-up from business arising from a previous meeting, and the realisation that there was a misalignment between the wording of a particular part of a resolution and the practical administrative capacity to make that possible. Therefore, I propose an amendment to the resolution of Council as follows, that for item 3 of the resolution adopted under late item 10.14 at the ordinary meeting held on 23rd of May 2023, Council amend the resolution by deleting the words require Councillor McConnell to repay to Council all legal costs within 28 days up to the total amount provided upon a finding of inappropriate conduct for matter C230041, and replacing with the words require Councillor McConnell that upon a finding of inappropriate conduct for matter C230041, repay to Council all legal costs up to the total amount provided within 28 days of receiving the invoice from Council. I seek a seconder. Councillor Hay, thank you. I don't believe, is there any further questioning or discussion required? I don't propose to speak further to the matter. I think it's self-explanatory. Anyone wishing to speak against? Seeking leave to speak additionally? Put the motion. And then that's carried. Thank you, councillors. If someone could gather the councillor for me. Thank you, councillor. That matter's been decided in the affirmative to support that amendment to the resolution.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillors, I will in a moment hand the chair over to Councillor McConnell for item 11.7, but in so doing I will declare that I have a declarable conflict of interest with regard to item 11.7 of today's agenda, which is the notice of motion by Councillor McConnell re item 10.9 of the ordinary meeting held on 4th of July 2023, as I am the subject councillor who was requesting that legal assistance, and I will be leaving the meeting for the consideration of this matter and handing the chair to Councillor McConnell. Thank you, councillors.
Thank you, councillors. I'd now like to introduce the report, item 11.17, notice of motion by Councillor McConnell, re item 10.9, ordinary meeting held on 4 July 2023, request for legal assistance. I take the report as read. and would move the following motion. That for item 3 of the resolution adopted under item 10.9 at the ordinary meeting held on 4 July 2023, Council amend the resolution by deleting the words require Councillor Christensen to repay to Council all legal costs within 28 days up to the total amount provided upon a finding of inappropriate conduct for matter C-23-00238 and replacing with the words require Councillor Christensen that upon a finding of inappropriate conduct for matter C-23-00238 repay to Council all legal costs up to the total amount provided within 28 days of receiving the invoice from Council. Seconder for that motion? Councillor West. I don't think we need to go too far into it. It's exactly the same. It's just a bit of a oversight on the motion that, as with mine, we still haven't received an invoice, and it just fixes that up. Are there any questions on the motion? I won't be speaking on the motion. Anyone requesting to speak? No? All those in favour?
Councillor, you didn't see my button.
Sorry, Councillor Hay.
Thank you. For the benefit of those who've read the agenda, I'd just like to point out that there is an error on page 219. Under the previous council considerations resolutions at the ordinary meeting held on the 4th of July 2023, dot point 3 is incorrect. It states that it requires Councillor McConnell to repay the council all legal costs within 28 days. That's an error in that this issue is relating to Councillor Christensen, and so the names have been transposed.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hay. No other questions? Queries? I won't close. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. I'll wait for the Mayor to come back. Just to inform you, Mr Mayor, that was carried.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillors, that brings us to the end of our agenda items for today's meeting. Thank you for your participation. Thank you to those listening in the gallery and for those who have managed to join us physically, and obviously to our school students who joined us earlier as part of their day's program. Thank you to the CEO and the officers who've prepared the reports before us for today's meeting. And with that, I will close the meeting at 10:19 a.m. Thank you and good day. Just got it in before it went 10:20.